Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. We bring you expert advice on how to make and manage your money right. Also, advice related to strategies on hiring, how also to innovate right. All of that here on the show. Anything and everything that matters to you, the entrepreneur, is being covered on the show. Tonight, I want to welcome in two entrepreneurs. First up, we have Rohan Bhargava, the co-founder at Cashkaro. We also have joining us on the show Nithin Kamath, founder and CEO at Zerodha. Rohan, Nithin, thank you very much for joining us here on the show. I want to first start by coming to you, Nithin, and talking about the fact that, the headlines, of course, of late are all about you having entered the Unicorn Club. But I want to talk about the journey leading really to that, and that has been a long one, hasn't been an easy one, of course. So if you can talk to us about what that journey has been like, very briefly, some of those highlights.
Firstly, thanks for having me on this. We don't really give too much weightage to this whole unicorn story in any case. I think the exciting bit about running Zerodha is that I think we are making a material difference to people who intend to invest, to trade in the markets. The idea, I started trading late 90s. That was when I was in school, college type. And so around 2008-9, when the financial crisis hit, I had already day traded for a long period of time, and I was wanting to take a break from trading. My younger brother had joined me trading the markets, and he was a better trader than I was. So we said, why don't you continue trading? And I give a shot at being a broker that traders like us don't have in the markets. And so that's how Zerodha started in 2010. We've kind of grown significantly in the last 2-3 years, but like you just said, right? As in, I think the business started the day I started trading the markets, which is probably 97, 98. So that's 20 to 23 years, So
Rohan, it's not been 22, 23 years for you, but you launched in 2013, but it's been an equally interesting journey for you and Swati, co-founding Cashkaro. So if you can really talk to our viewers about some of the highlights of that journey leading to, you being where you are right now.
The idea started off while I was in the UK, and Swati and I started a comparable business to what we do in Cashkaro right now. And, while using the website, we just fell in love with the idea. And, when we looked around the globe, we realized that there was a large cashback product in the US market, in the Chinese market, for the European market. And we kept asking ourselves that there is definitely going to be a large player in India. And the question was that can we be that player? The more we looked into the business, the more excited we were about it. The more we spoke to people about the concept, the reaction was, wow, can a concept like this exist? That, when I shop online, I will get cashback on anything that I do. And that was sort of the genesis of the idea. And from there on, we set up a website, and, the rest is history at this point.
So I want to talk about fundraising and talk about both of your models. Rohan, you've raised funds previously. Nithin, you have entirely been bootstrapped. So if both of you can talk about your fundraising experiences, your sort of takeaway and insights for someone watching this interview based on your experience and what you'd want for them to know, it's open to both of you. But Rohan, if I could maybe come to you first.
Sure. So I think if we talk about the pandemic situation in particular, right? I think going back to March, April, when the news was out, India was in 100% lockdown scenario. I think the general sense that was there within the startup community, investors, was that we're coming into a long and fairly cold winter. That the investment market is going to officially shut down. I think as we look at what has happened in the last few months, I think there have been certain clear sectors that have been large winners. I would say anything that is digital has been a massive gainer in this current environment. So if you think about online shopping, if you think about OTT platforms, online education, all of these are large winning sectors. So I think there is definitely a lot of firepower, a lot of capital that is still out there looking to be deployed. I think India still
Sure.
remains extremely investable. I think very, very exciting opportunity for the world to invest in India. I think the sector preferences have probably changed, right? So I think there are certain sectors like hospitality, possibly that is less exciting for investors. But I think there's definitely a lot of appetite that remains across the world for India and a lot of the startups that exist here.
Nithin, what would you like to add to that?
No, I mean, see about this funding versus not funding. I think you need to raise money if you need the money. For us as a business, we've never marketed, as in we have never advertised as a business. So there was never really need of money to grow. And I mean, typically today what happens is your biggest cost is really your cost of acquiring a customer, right? And
Sure.
so, as a the thing is in the business of trading and investing, people don't decide to buy or sell a stock because they saw an advertisement. It doesn't work like that. It's usually the enablers of friends
Okay.
and family, right? And so we've always tried to grow organic. So that way we didn't need to raise money till date. And one of the advantages of not raising money is it gives you the edge of nimbleness almost. In a business, you need to either have deep pockets or some kind of nimbleness, or being able to move quickly to to win this whatever competition or whatever you call it, right? And for us as a we realize the more time we spend in the business, that this nimbleness that comes along with not having too many external investors is an edge that we have, and we don't want to let go of it. And about crisis, no, this year for us, we are one of
Sure.
those positively affected businesses in this country. Online broking, not just in India, actually around the world, is,
Okay.
is the active number of participants have gone up at least 2x.
Sure.
So we've done significantly well. So right from our onboarding new customers to daily average number of trades, we have doubled. So this year hasn't really been a crisis for us. I mean, we've benefited. The challenge though was in terms of being able to scale your infra when everything was locked down, right? Because
Sure.
we connect the exchanges via lease lines and data centers and things like that, and we can't really scale we can't really be on the cloud for a lot of things. So we have to scale it manually, in the sense, if I have to add servers, I have to send it to our data center in Bombay, and so suddenly you had this significant scale, and we couldn't really add infra very easily. So that was the big challenge this year for us.
So you're saying, raise money only if you need it. So if you could talk to our entrepreneurs about, whether the rules of the game have really changed when it comes to fundraising, what would you like them to know about whether the pandemic has changed how investors perhaps are looking at businesses, and therefore how should entrepreneurs really be responding to this change?
I run a very active incubator startup fund. It's called Rain Matter, through which we invest in startups. I think, like I see our team becoming a lot more selective in terms of choosing whom you want to invest into. I think people who are good will get a lot of money, versus the averages and the below averages will find it tougher to raise money, because I think, and the good ones are getting premium. I mean, the ones who are able to raise money right now, they're able to actually demand a premium, because the world. I mean, even if you look at stock markets, the publicly listed stocks, if you see that money is all kind of getting concentrated into top 10, 15 stocks, right? Like everyone's chasing the big winners, and I think that's happening in the private space as well. So the ones who are lagging will find it tough to raise money. The ones who are ahead will raise it easier. And has the rules of the game changed? No, I think the rules of building a business has always been the same, which is
Sure.
build business around your core competency. Build a business that makes some sense. I mean, don't just keep burning cash all the time, because if you get into the business of deep pockets,
Okay.
you need deep pockets to survive that, right?
Yeah, I would agree with Nitin. I think the rules have fundamentally stayed the same. In fact, if you trace back how investors have looked at India over the last 3 or 4 years, they have very, very aggressively focused on fundamentals, businesses that are right for the Indian ecosystem, and I think those guys, have continually been able to raise money again and again, and businesses that were shaky to begin with, where the unit economics were not in place to begin with, have struggled to elevate, right? Uh, and so I think uh, what is interesting, however, is that uh, a lot of the story that had to play out in India in terms of the internet story, the geo story, the retail story, I think that is only stronger and stronger. So if you think about the kind of capital that Reliance has been able to raise in the last 6 months, I think it's just a testament to how exciting India is for the rest of the world.
I'll take a quick break on that note. On the other side, though, we're in conversation with Zerodha as well as Cashkaro. Back in just a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Okay, I want to talk, really about what's been going on around the world, across the globe, and it's been a watershed moment, 2020, for entrepreneurs. But for both of you personally, as entrepreneurs, as people leading businesses, leading teams, what have been your learnings? What would you like to tell someone watching this interview?
I think generally we are in a very similar world. Only the way people are doing things has changed, right? So, for example, uh, whether we have a vaccine or not, whether it's effective or not, that's an unknown. I think for most of us, we do believe that 6 to 9 months is we're probably going to stay in that status quo right now, right, where people will refrain from going out, travel is going to be limited, people will prefer to be at home versus going out, and so on and so forth, right? But demand fundamentals have not changed, right? So people still need product. People still need the basics, whether it's food, clothing, essentials. They will continue. They will continue to need to invest and so on and so forth. I think just the methods will probably change, right? So I think traditional businesses that only were in a mall primarily will need to come online. They will need to digitize. People will still need product, but probably some of the mechanisms of delivery will change, right? And I think we're seeing that. I think we're seeing almost every business rapidly change and digitize, right? So for a typical retail business, it is going online, and we're seeing that in almost every aspect of retail that's happening. If you look at financial services, we're seeing that happening extremely fast. So things like your digital KYC, the entire process of bank accounts being opened online, etc., etc. So I think the key requirement for users and people is the same. I just think that the mode of delivery will change, and I think for businesses to adapt to the new world, so to speak, it is about how quickly can they think digitally and get their businesses in front of their consumers digitally.
While this year hasn't been a crisis for us, I've gone through multiple crises in my business life, and I think the first thing you need to do is start living like a monk when there is a problem, right? Which is, go speak to your team. I mean, you have to reduce your burn to as little as possible. I mean, that has to be the first step, right? As in, I mean, stop spending on as many things as possible, because you need your runways to be larger. And if you have no revenue or no funding coming in, the only way to keep it longer is by reducing your costs, right? So I think, yeah, it's those times where everyone has to be living like a monk, and then go digital. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer now. I mean, if there was ever a point in life, where businesses had to move digital to survive, I think it's now. I think I fail to see how offline businesses, I mean, of course, there might be some kind of businesses which are offline that will exist to continue, but most of them will have to go online and digital. So I guess people have to think and adjust themselves to that future.
Speaking of crises, Nithin, I do know you've had your fair share of crises when you were, starting out, weathering a fair share of your own storms. What have you learned from that? What sort of takeaways or insights could you share with us based on that?
Like I said, this year wasn't a crisis. So we've been lucky that way.
I think the one thing that has helped are some of the things and best practice that we put in terms of just managing the team, right? I think anyone will agree that you're only as strong as your team. And I think when the crisis happened, right, I think the biggest fear that people had was on job security. And one of the first things we made as a clear announcement to the entire team was that, look, we are well capitalized, we are funded. Uh, we will find ways to weather the storm, but your job is safe, right? And when that happened, suddenly there was such a strong change in morale, uh, that people just felt safe, right? I think one of the aspects that we've seen through this current period is anxiety levels are higher, people are more stressed, people feel like they're working longer but getting less done. And one of the key things we wanted to ensure was that, look, your job is once that happened, we started to build a little more discipline across the organization. Discipline on the basics that we were doing anyways, right? So a simple morning meeting. Now the morning meeting was going to be entirely digital, right? So 170 people logging in digitally, making sure that the videos were done down. The main impact was when you start seeing each other, there's a certain enthusiasm, a certain uh, uh, energy that flows when you start watching people, right? Versus just having your videos off. We started things like a morning show where Swati would interview somebody from the team and have a chat about them. We started to celebrate events a lot more than we were. So that the aim is, how do you still feel connected, right? Because if the team is everything, the team is sort of feeling dysfunctional or not connected, then things can actually start to fall off pretty quickly. I think the last few months have been our best few months ever. And I think it's possible because the team sort of stuck together. They've supported each other in incredible ways. So I think that would be my core message for me to anyone running a shop today.
The digital economy has really enabled businesses like yours, both of your businesses. But there, of course, is a flip side to everything. So, if there is a flip side to being digital natives like the two of you are, and your businesses are really, and something perhaps you wish you had known, starting out, maybe mistakes that you wish someone had warned you about, what would you like to tell someone watching this interview? And maybe did the two of you have good mentors, or wished you had good mentors who would help you then grow faster in this journey?
We started a business for the first 4 years. We were building on top of vendor products, and I think we should have gone in house from maybe much sooner, because a lot of those legacy issues got built in those 4 years, and it took us a long time before we could get rid of it. Right? I mean, while not everyone can build their products on their own, you'll have to still rely on vendors for it. But wherever possible, I think you should just build it in house, because just owning that foundation that runs your business is very critical, especially in a digital world.
I think the key suggestion I would give is focus on the team. I think if we could do this again, I think we would focus on hiring better earlier in the business. I think initially we were a little more frugal about how we wanted to use our capital. But I think if we could do this differently, we would have hired better a lot faster.
Okay, I'm running out of time on this panel, but I do want to understand 2021. Anything exciting that's holding for the two of you that you could perhaps discuss here on the show. And let me maybe come to you first, Rohan.
I think when we look at 21, 22, it is the wave of online shopping. I think is what we're most excited about. Somewhat by design, people are being forced to come online, and I think as that happens, businesses like ours are bound to grow. We're in the business of giving you free money for what you shop online, so we're extremely excited about that, and we're pretty confident that some very exciting things for Cashkaro and Until the company.
Rohan, all the very best for that. Nithin, let me give you the last word then.
Usually, the enablers for people to invest in the markets are, one of them is low interest rates in the economy. I mean, our fixed deposit rates are probably the lowest that we have ever seen. So there's a lot of interest amongst people to come invest in the markets, not just stocks, but debt instruments and all of that. And the good thing here is that all of that interest can kind of go to power the economy again. Like, like if companies can raise debt easily from retail, that'll help the businesses grow and in turn help the economy. So yeah, that's quite exciting. That this whole this year, this work from home has enabled a lot of people to think about their finances and other options, and not just fixed deposits of gold or real estate. So people are thinking of other avenues for saving and investing. So that's exciting.
Completely out of time then on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. Our contact details is up on your screens. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.